Okay, so this is a bit of a strange one because I had already filmed uh, this week's A Snack and a Story, but the topic in question was rather illicit in nature, and I'm not quite sure if I really wanted to upload it or not, lest, I don't know, I should disturb people or upset the codes and statutes of this here site. But perhaps maybe have it taken down. But I may upload it, I may not, I do not know at this point in time. Maybe I will, I don't know, we'll see. Anyhow, welcome to another installment of A Snack and a Story with me. And tonight's meal is something I've had before. Actually that's two quesadillas. They got pork and green chili verde. And I've got a side of sour cream right there, because I like to dunk them. So, tonight's story, I suppose, is going to be about my first experience with a professional editor. So, let's begin. So back in June, or July, one of those, there were several tests being done in order that I might be able to live independently and such. Because even though it doesn't seem like it, I apparently don't have all the qualifications of being able to live independently and such, which is very annoying, and it makes one you almost think that they'd be better off if they never existed at all, because if really they had to learn such basic skills, then they may as well start over with life, in my opinion. I apologise if that sounds a bit cynical, but, you know, it's me. Anyhow, in lieu of this, I had told these people who were testing me that I very much wanted to be a writer and had been seeking my work to be published. Obviously, I had written several short stories, had several published in the school paper, and wrote a novel and was desperately looking for somebody to publish it. And I told them this, and they went ahead and contacted. They said they contacted the publisher, but it's more basically an editor, because it was an individual entity, or an individual person rather. And so, I guess I got direct feedback, you could say. Essentially, I've got a stain on here, bollocks. Essentially, my objective was to send to this publisher or editor, a few short stories and 3 sample chapters of my novel, Why Am I Forever Unloved? And he would basically give his feedback and determine whether I had the capabilities of being published. And if I didn't, he'd tell me what I lacked and therefore what I needed to work on and cut back on and such in order that I might be accepted by the establishment. So, I sent off the stories and chapters and such in July or June, whenever, and these people, they don't take forever to reply, but they take a rather long time. I didn't get a response until like August or September, one of those. And here is what he said. I'm not saying this verbatim because I don't quite remember, but he was very much captivated by what I wrote and thought that, I did generally a pretty good job in most areas, and that the aforementioned novel, Why Am I Forever Unloved, is part of a genre, evidently, that is an evergreen market, which is young adult. I never intended for it to be young adult, even though really it pretty much is, because all the characters are teenagers mainly, and it takes place in a high school setting. But it's written in a very serious manner, and might not necessarily appeal to many teenagers at all, really. But either way, that's what he said would become of my book. It would be like a genre, a pigeonhole rather. So then, now if any of you writers out there, hear my words, because this is what you'll put up with. Well, not put up with, but what you'll be confronted with when you have an editor at your side. He told me that my story, or however much of it, was overwritten, and that the adjectives could be reduced by half, if not 2/3. And then also, I believe he said something or other about one of the short stories I'd written had a framing device that he didn't necessarily jive with. But I thought carried the story quite well. I don't know. But it's nothing too bad, you could say. I mean, I saw it myself as to went, holy crap, this is just not horrible, but a little clunky on the reading it with fresh eyes, as it were. So what I did is I re-edited my novel for like the 4th time. Reduced the adjectives by maybe half, most likely 2/3, but half, and I'm now looking for a publisher. I may very well have found one. More on that in another video. But also, I've been trying to find a publisher since I finished this book back in 2018. I started it in September of 2017 and finished it in October of last year. And it's very exhaustive struggle, because there are so few publishers nowadays that accept unsolicited manuscripts and such, and really accept anything at all, even though the editor said that YA, as he called it, or he didn't call it that, but as it's generally called, is very popular. I'll most likely have a chance. But I found that editors are a fickle bunch of people, because depending on whether, they've got, I don't know, a raise or something, or depending on whether they've fallen down the stairs and tripped over the dog and cracked their head open and everything before work, and they spilt their coffee all over their trousers. Now, depending on what happens before the initial, I guess, critique or whatever, that depends upon their sensibilities towards your work. Because towards the end of my novel, it uses quite a lot of flowery language, but is meant to, because it's in homage to Lovecraft. I doubt many publishers nowadays do accept anything likened to Lovecraft. So therefore, well, I don't know where I stand there, but anyhow. In the end, I'm glad I got the advice that I did, and that just means I'm one step closer to actually having my name out there in the bookshops and on Kindle or ebook or whatever. And I am closer than you might think, and we'll talk about that in another video. But that was kind of a summation of my first experience with a literary editor, a professional editor, just to show you kind of like what to expect as a writer who, even though you have, edited your book 6 Ways to Tuesday already, just to show what you have to put up with and what to expect from the professionals. Anyhow, that'll be it for tonight. I still have one more to enjoy by myself, which I will. And I don't know if I'll upload that other one, another Snack and a Story, because really, I don't know. I personally don't even want to see that myself. But anyhow, hope you enjoyed it, and you all have a good night.